It's worth mourning the films we'll never get to see, the unfunded epics, the unmarketable art films, perhaps even the unengaging streaming product. Filmmaker Charles Shackleton faced that grief when his thoroughly researched project, a documentary on the Zodiac killer case, got the plug pulled after years in development. But the director's vision was simply too comprehensive for the project to go unrealized. In the comically plainly titled Zodiac Killer Project, Shackleton explains how his film would have unfolded, speaking in a consolation prize confessional. The candid narrator, who is also a published film critic, emerges with more than just his regrets. The doc is also a playful evaluation of the true crime content bubble and the genre's full capitulation to copycatting itself, though Shackleton's feature can't legally cite its source material as the 2012 book The Zodiac Killer Cover-Up. The Silent Badge, it is all but an official adaptation. The director had initially negotiated film rights with a family of its author, former CHP officer Lyndon E. Lafferty, who died in 2016. The Silent Badge was a decades-long endeavor for the ex-cop, who was convinced he had a run-in with the Zodiac and, after allegedly being admonished by police superiors, launched an off-the-books investigation into his suspect. Shackleton was drawn to Lafferty's novel because it represented new material in the extremely picked-over Zodiac files. But while the filmmaker was location scouting in the killer's old stamping ground, the rights agreement with the family went to pieces. Zodiac Killer Project sees Shackleton recounting the narrative beats he'd planned for the film, speaking in a wandering, reflective cadence over long shots of Bay Area exteriors. Occasionally, Shackleton will enter a trance imagining certain climactic sequences before cracking himself up and breaking his own spell. Throw in a few insert shots of things like crime scene flashbulbs and burning documents, visual tropes that Shackleton calls out as such, and Zodiac Killer Project gets remarkably close to resembling an actual true crime doc. The great joke and the central thesis is that the film can accomplish that by using only spare parts. It's also why the doc hits against the limits of its thought experiment rather quickly. A parody of a boring, repetitive genre is still rule-bound by that genre's playbook. Shackleton, seen in a few recording booth appearances, does seem genuinely dejected about his original ideas. "Fuck, it would have been good," he exhales after laying out his eye-grabbing opening. But the trickier, engaging game of Zodiac Killer Project is assessing how seriously the filmmaker was really taking this material in the first place. Taken generously, Lafferty was a man who realized he could only seek the truth by taking matters into his own hands. But objectively, his effort was a wild goose chase, a guerrilla operation hindered by tunnel vision for one specific suspect. The story gets more preposterous as it goes, even including a turn in which Lafferty and his target enter the same social circles later in life. Robert Graysmith, the obsessive who authored the most popular book about the case and was played by Jake Gyllenhaal in David Fincher's Zodiac, also would have made a character in Shackleton's feature. Here, Graysmith resembles the success story to Lafferty's humdrum operation, a bit like how Bob Dylan figures into the ironic ending of the Coen brothers inside Llewyn Davis.